It's the 2Dumb2Quit podcast with Jeremy McCall. He's dumb, way too dumb to even quit. So, he has his own podcast now.
Well, and that is the truth. Welcome to the 2Dumb2Quit podcast. Hope you're staying happy and healthy. I'm a few days behind on this as we've been dealing with some of the government restrictions and trying to reroute the tour and deal with the live venue stuff through the shutdown. So my apologies for this not being Tuesday, but normally this is coming up on Tuesday, a couple days late. But I want to continue to highlight incredible people and the characteristics of perseverance. There's no shortage of good examples of this. You see them every day. We all do. We might not always know their backstories, and it's funny how our backstories bring humanity to all of us. It's like when two people can't stand each other and they're constantly talking shit or they're wanting to fight or people are just at each other. And then someone finds out something about the other person, maybe the abuse they suffered at home or the cancer their spouse or their child or their mom has, or just something that person is going through, and it brings back the humanity to the other person. It allows us to see past our ego for being hurt or wronged, and it allows us to see a person struggling just like us. Why reality TV shows like The Voice and American Idol, that's why they love to show that hard luck backstory, even passing up better singers in the process to get to that shiny story that people can really get behind, somebody that people can root for. And so much of the work that's done by great people we admire is unknown, it's unseen, it's under the surface. It's like that meme that you see where it's got the iceberg and you see the tip of the iceberg, but you don't see everything underneath it, everything that went into that little point sticking above the water. And sometimes we might feel like the person who seems to really deserve the spotlight that people get, they end up in the shadows, while the one who didn't work as hard or sacrifice as much kind of gets all the spoils. And it reminded me of a general I'd never heard of. You've probably never heard of him. His name is General George Catlett Marshall Jr. And I first read about him in Ryan Holiday's book, Ego is the Enemy. And Ryan Holiday points out that of all the great Allied generals during World War II, there's Patton, Bradley, Eisenhower, MacArthur. Everybody knows those names. And while all of them fought and led bravely, there was one general that stood apart from the rest of them. And he continued on that even being on the right side of history, even fighting evil, the good guys were not vacant of politics or backstabbing or posturing or spotlight wanting, ass covering, all the things that we all do as humans. These Allied generals all did as well to protect their turf as they all eagerly aspired to their place in history. Ryan Holiday points out that the only general this did not apply to, or that was absent in his behavior, was General Marshall. The thing that General Marshall seemed to steer clear of was the disease of me. He seemed to balance his relationship to rank and looking at the military system that's just totally based on rank. That is the system. While others began to lobby and really began to push for Marshall to become the chief of staff, he asked him to stop. He said, "It makes me look too inconspicuous. It makes me look much too inconspicuous in the Army to seem to be eager to be noticed." And throughout his career, he turned down honors and allowed them to go and be awarded to other people. And it's not that he didn't want the honors. We're all human. We all want to see the rewards for a job well done or hard work. We all want love and to be respected by people we care about. But he wanted them in the right way. Even more importantly, however nice those honors might have been, he could do without them, while perhaps others could not. And this just continues to highlight the ego's need to be honored, to be seen. And while confidence is able to wait and focus on what needs to be done, regardless of the recognition, ego is just starved for it. General Marshall was tested even more when a job he had trained his entire life for became absolutely available to him, which would have been commanding the troops on D-Day, the largest invasion the world had ever seen. And President Roosevelt made it known that it was Marshall's job if he wanted it. And General Marshall declined the option, kept his ego totally removed, and responded, "The decision is yours, Mr. President. My wishes have nothing to do with this matter." And the role and the glory went to Eisenhower. And in turn, it came to show that Eisenhower was the right man for the job. He performed amazingly. He helped win the war. And putting ourselves in Marshall's shoes would I think about, would I have been able to turn off the ego and remove it enough to allow the right thing to happen for the situation? Would we be able to step back from that if it was at your taking? Or would our ego jump in and start asking us, are we going to let this guy get above you? Are we going to let this guy get all the glory? You're ready for this. You've never been more ready. It's an interesting thought. And the stories go on and on about General Marshall, staying present, persevering by discipline, not allowing ego or honors or accolades to cloud the water of what needed to be done. Not that those traits aren't there, or that these people that we talk about on the podcast have somehow been blessed without ego traits. It exists in all of us. His wife said that the people who saw General Marshall as a modest or quiet missed what was special about him. She said he had ego, he had self-interest, he had pride and dignity and ambition, but they were tempered by a sense of humility and selflessness, and that's what made this man special. Another man that comes to mind when you think about that trait is the legendary Mr. Rodgers. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie that came out earlier in the year, but it showed Mr. Rodgers exhibited the best of what is in all of us. And he saw the best in everyone he encountered. He found the humanity in each guest, but he wasn't without the traits that can sabotage each of us on our own journeys. Both of these men are amazing examples of what you can accomplish when we persevere through the times when we're told it's not worth trying, it's not worth the effort, it will never work. Your approach is too mellow, it's too quiet, the confidence is too much, the kindness, it's over the top. I've got a songwriter friend of mine here in town who is an amazing songwriter, and he has an incredible personality. He's big and he's exuberant and he's excited and he's passionate. And I remember when he was trying to get publishing deals and people were telling him to tone it down. It just made me sick to my stomach. It's like, dude, you have to absolutely stay you through this. You have to be just continue to rise above these people and be you because you're amazing. And we all have to admit that we have the ability to sabotage our progress, to kill our goals, to suffocate our journey with ego. It kills our momentum. It robs us of what we could do and accomplish by lifting up others, by helping other people out. And the flip side of that, this is the good news from that. While we all do have those shitty traits, the flip side is we also have the opposite of those traits. It exists in each of us. The traits that saved the world in World War II, the traits that do the right thing when no one is looking, the trait of doing what is necessary regardless of who gets the glory. That is the glory. Knowing ourselves, knowing yourself to be that special kind of human who, as General Marshall's wife put it, can temper ourselves with humility and selflessness. Just to give you the end of this story, General Marshall in his career, while being quietly confident, while allowing honors to go to other people, while not taking huge promotions because he didn't want to be placed above his mentors. In the end, he was the 15th Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army. He became the Special Envoy to China in 1945 through 1947. He became the Secretary of State under President Harry Truman. He became the 10th President of the American Red Cross, the Secretary of Defense, and he was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal and a Nobel Peace Prize. The clock runs the same for all of us. And it's ticking, and we need to go out. We need to make the most of it. We got to keep balancing our books so at the end of the day, we can live in the present and remember, especially in these times, that small changes in your mind can make big changes in your life. Stay present, stay humble, look for the humanity in each other, and thank you so much for tuning in to the 2Dumb2Quit podcast. This weekend, I'm going to upload some quick clips that I've been really inspired by. It's been inspiring me a lot, and just wanted to thank you guys for taking this journey with me. If you're enjoying the podcast, share it with a couple of friends. Hope you guys have a great evening. I'm going to be talking to y'all tomorrow as well. So remember to go subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is the official Jeremy McComb. It's youtube.com/official Jeremy McComb. Follow me up on Instagram. I've been doing these free daily shows at noon, so come join me. It's full of inappropriate innuendo. It's called My Daily Nooner, and it kicks off at noon Central Time here in the U.S. on Instagram at McComb_over. And a big thanks again. I hope this inspired something in you the way that it did me through the eyes of General Marshall and the kindness of Mr. Fred Rodgers. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll be talking to y'all tomorrow. Have a great night.